communication is one of the greatest gifts you can have in life. So I remember when I was first starting out in my career, post leaving the military, we had this sales trainer that came in. And so one of the things he talked about was that I remembered, this is many moons ago, was he doesn't read any sales books. And I go, what? He's like, yeah, all I ever read is communication books. Because if I can understand communication and I can effectively communicate with people, well, then I don't have to do it.
Welcome to the Contrarian Capitalist Podcast, the ultimate destination for accredited investors and entrepreneurs seeking alternative wealth building strategies. Discover how to fast track your journey to wealth and time freedom by thinking outside the box. If you're ready to join the ranks of the Contrarian Capitalists and learn the most effective ways to reach your financial goals faster, you're in the right place. Let's get started with today's episode of the Contrarian Capitalist Podcast.
Thank you once again for listening to another episode of the Contrarian Capitalist Podcast. I'm your host and your favorite silverback, Sylvania Harrod. And on today's episode, I'm going to talk to you about how communication is a form of currency. So I know that's a little bit different thinking about it, fellow contrarians, but like the reality is that communication is one of the greatest gifts you can have in life. So I remember when I was first starting out in my career, post leaving the military, we had this sales trainer that came in. And so one of the things he talked about was that I remembered, this is many moons ago, was he doesn't read any sales books. And I go, what? He's like, yeah, all I ever read is communication books. Because if I can understand communication and I can effectively communicate with people, well, then I don't have to do it, because I had this misconception that like sales was supposed to be more of a boxing match. I need to overcome any and all your objections you come up with. And then once I do that, I am the conqueror. I win, you lose. I get the money, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, that's what you think when you're a child. Once you grow up and you mature, you get to a place where you go, oh no, I don't have to do convincing anymore. The reality is that people more than likely know a certain amount of information. My job is to educate and inform. And so if I can't listen to the subtle cues of what they're not saying and what kind of question they're asking and getting clarifying of what be able to be there, I can't really help them, because sales is not a battle. Sales is a level of service. So think about some of the best service you've ever received in your life. Did you ever once think that they were thinking about them? Or did you think they were thinking about you the entire time? If it's the latter, then that's a great experience. Because I remember, I went to Vegas one time, and I had never heard of what's called a concierge service. And so this concierge service, standing outside the Cosmopolitan, there was a nightclub. I was trying to get in, you couldn't get in. And I see these three guys. It's me and my buddy. See these three guys, and I can tell they're disheveled. So I just move a little bit closer, and they're like, the concierge is like, guys, we have to. If you don't have all five people, we're gonna have to cancel the service and be able to be there. And they're like, I don't know where John and Frank are. And I go, hey, we're two guys. We're willing to do what it happens to be. If there's different monies, we got to pitch in at different times. We'll go do it. But I don't want you to lose out on this. And they go, all right, cool. You seem cool enough. And we just roll with them. And we started going through different hallways, different places. We get up. We're in the nightclub. And we're right next to the stage where the DJ is, different things like that. And this concierge was coming back and forth. He's like, hey, by the way, I got bottles. He handled everything. All those guys had to be all they had to do was just be there and be present. This guy moved with such grace and fluidity in different moments, be able to be there, making sure the limo was there, making sure that as they were hungry, there was a different food spot, that they had tables also. So the next 36 hours, everything taken care of, events, different things going on. And I was like, damn, it's the type of stuff I like to do. Somebody just goes ahead and hands off. Because the reality is that we've earned that right in life. We're accredited investors, y'all. Do you know how limited that is to be able to be there? You know how rare of an air that is to be able to be there? It's very rare. So you've done the necessary work. You've done the necessary details. You've been able to build up your career, your business, whatever it is along the board, and make it happen, right? So with that being said, there are things that need to be there to where it's like, oh, cool, to be able to go through that process and be able to have service and go through that. That's what I do with my firm, right? Most investment banks that you go to, they go through and it's like us against them. Not me. You want to know why? Because I believe in service. I believe in serving others. You tell me what your dream and desires are, and I help find the necessary people, because that's my gift. I can find anybody. I can find anything. I can get in a meeting room, get in a room and be able to do stuff, because that was the gift that God gave me. That's part nature. And then I've been nurturing it, and I will consistently nurture it. But if we look at that, communication is the basis of service that happens to go there. This is why I always ask you, like, what is your actual desire? Is it yours, or are you pretending with somebody else's that they gave to you at some point in time when you were a child? And as you look at this level of communication, you begin to ask proper questions. If you happen to be married to myself, I'll challenge you with this. Go to your spouse and ask her, what were the desires she had when she was a kid? That's part A. Part B, after she answers it, is it anything like what your life is today? And wait for the response. Don't try to cut them off. Don't try to do anything else. Just listen. Lord gave us 2 ears, one for a reason. Listen to twice as much as you speak. Unless you're on the mic like me, then I can say whatever I want, because it's my camera. But you say those things and you listen. Ask your children, ask your friends, ask those that are around you. And then you'll realize that, oh, okay, maybe I have been looking at things a little misconstrued, right? And then you spend time and you do things and you work after it and you make it happen. Because what the hell is the point of building wealth if you're going to be alone? Part of wealth and the equation of wealth is 4 parts for me, right? Like when I look at finances, that's fine, right? Finances happen to be there. Like I call this go F yourself. Finances have to be good. Friendships have to be good. Like family. And family is always a loaded subject. It could be birth. It could be adopted. Maybe you got different things. Maybe your friends and your family, the same thing. But I'm talking about those that are right there around you, right? For me, married with children. Family. And the last F is going to be fitness. Because it's great. And if you look at it, it's like a full spectrum of the wheel. If not, it's Pac-Man, right? You evaluate it, be able to be there. And you go, okay, because I know a lot of people that have great money, but they've been married and divorced 4 times. Their fitness ain't really dialed in, bro. They may have great friends. They got 2 out of 4, so they got a lot of money and I got great friends. But like, I lost my wife and multiple times. My kids don't really know who I am to be able to be there, and my health sucks. That's the definition of wealth for me. So I got to look at all those pieces and all those breadcrumbs to go through it. And if I don't ask myself detailed questions, how the hell am I ever going to ask anybody else questions? That's why communication is such a currency to me. I also believe that like when you're chasing after the desires that were placed on your heart, ask tough questions. I sit in rooms across people that are professionals all over the place, and they don't ask tough questions. They kind of finagle around it. They dance around it. Different ways to be there. I'm just going to come in like a wrecking ball and ask a direct question. It's because I'm confident in my abilities, as should you be too, because you've earned your right to be here and sit at this table. So that's why I value communication as such a wonderful currency, because I don't like ambiguity in scenarios. I'd much rather be like, are you in or are you out? And so, because whatever you choose, it's not going to impact how I feel. I'm just going to choose the next decision I'm going to make. I sit down and I look at companies that help raise capital, and I have to be able to build a diversification strategy against them, right? Because I know the kink in the equation is going to be the person. That's a variable in the equation. So you pay me to help you through that process. I'm going to give that same gift back to you, which is you go ahead and figure out that level of life that you choose to be inside of. And it makes it so much more fun. Once you understand who you are and your quirks and different things to be able to be there, then you can start more operating in the second phase of life, which is just like, now you know who you are. Now go through the phase of life of doing what you were born to do, and go through that. Have fun. Enjoy the process. Realize that this life is as good or bad as you want to make it. Like I look at things and people ask me like, oh my God, don't you see his things getting worse? Like, no, I ain't training that inside of mine. I ain't gonna see what's wrong all the time. I'm not gonna be delusional or naive on discernment, but I think there's so much opportunity. I think 2025, 2026, 27, every year is my year. Why? Because I started it and I ended it. And I learned every single day throughout the process. So as always, you can find me on all social media platforms at Sylvania Harrod. And I really appreciate every message, every comment I get that comes across the process, because it allows me the opportunity to have communication with my audience. So my fellow contrarians, go out there, crack some eggs, ask difficult questions. And as always, stay grateful, my friends. Cheers.